So today on the channel, I'm targeting new bow hunters. Myself, in my 20s, or maybe you're an adult that's coming into hunting or wants to get involved. These are 5 gear items for you to pick up, kind of spread around in what they can do for you, but these are gonna get you in the woods and get you started. Now, I feel like to get started in hunting, you're gonna be maybe small game hunting, deer hunting. I'm gonna try and keep this list working both of those angles there, and just general outdoors. I'm gonna go with number 1, boots. Now, these obviously would not work. Rubber boots, I'm not gonna suggest either, despite those being very popular, very price point oriented. I'm saying get you a pair of lace up boots. Doesn't have to be over the top, could be hiker oriented, maybe a little bit of insulation, but you don't necessarily wanna buy a big bulky boot. And that is because we have discovered you can literally take a pair of hunting socks and put them on the external side of your boot for like warmth. I have a YouTube video, it's called like cold feet in hunting. Punch that in, you'll see it. But I'm gonna go with a good pair of boots. If I was gonna make a $200 recommendation, I'm going the Keen Duran. They also make a Keen Tangy that's like more like the 150 mark. That like is a hiker boot that could also cross over into hunting. I'd say a handful of other options. Loa makes a boot. I'm not 100% sure on that $100 to $150 price point. You're gonna have to do some Googling on that. I just spend a little bit more on boots. So second item I'm gonna go with is the weapon. And I think there's plenty of good entry-level packages, hunt-ready packages, Bear, Bowtech, PSE. They all make hunt-ready packages that you can pick up more in that $400 to $500 price point that are gonna do you just fine to get started in compound bow hunting. Don't start with a crossbow, that's the cheater method. The other thing I was considering here was a firearm, but I think today people are very much into bow hunting because you get the longer season, so you can maybe go a handful of times. And with a compound bow, you can be deer killing proficient at 20 yards with minimal practice these days. All right, for the next item, I'm gonna go with some app you gotta download. There's a bunch of mapping softwares out there that allow you to see property lines, where you are, if you're gonna hunt public land, private land. I think it's still the tool to have. I use OnX. This allows me to mark tree stands, allows me to see where I am in the woods, allows me to navigate in the dark. So I'm gonna recommend a hunting app if you're gonna get into this just to better learn. There's plenty of tutorial type videos out there of how to use them, how to get them to work offline. Plenty of information. Punch that into Google, start your learning lesson. Okay, so I want to talk about gear a little bit. You're gonna see a lot of guys saying base layers, this mid layer, all this cool systems. I think if you are just getting started to hunting, there are a few things to consider. If you have earth tone hoodies, browns, grays, that can get you by, especially the first half of October bow hunting, squirrel hunting, any sort of small game in that aspect. It does get a little trickier once you get into, I'm gonna call it temps in the 40 and below range. And I'm gonna say get you a good outer layer. And I'm thinking one jacket, right? Because if somebody's new to hunting, we don't want them spending a bunch of money in layers and blah, blah, blah. They hopefully have maybe a puffy vest that's a neutral color, or just a regular like layered type vest. This doesn't have to be a puffy. It could just be like maybe a Carhartt style vest, because I've hunted in that for years. So get you an outer layer that maybe is a little bit windproof, that you can layer underneath it. I would say try this on, maybe get the size bigger if you're gonna bow hunt in conditions where it could be like 30-ish degrees or lower. Or if you're just gonna regular gun hunt, right? It's generally colder those times of years. I would say a really good do-all piece would be the Phantom series from Fleet. Those pants are pretty warm. You can even put like a pair of sweatpants on underneath them and make them a 30-degree and below pant. You know, thinking for somebody who might not have fancy base layers and other things, they probably got a pair of sweatpants. As far as a top is concerned, there's a couple companies I like out there that make good do-all type tops for bow hunting in those temperature ranges. I like a fleecy type material because it's quiet, but that does like absorb burrs. So it's not something you want to stomp around in the squirrel woods with and get a bunch of burrs. I would say do your own research, but target one good outer layer for the top and try and layer with the stuff you already have underneath that. And the pants, you might have to get some specialized pants. Those Phantom X pants from Fleet, they're expensive, but they're kick-ass. They got vents to hip dump. I do really like what that can do for a new hunter. I'm sure there's cheaper options out there. Guys used to hunt in Carhartt overalls, right? Like it is doable. All right, this last one is the Byron Horton Special. And it's not necessarily gear oriented, although I'll give you a substitute pick, but time. Time is key for hunting, outdoor recreation. And so looking at things like an Uber Eats gift card, putting money away, maybe one of those credit cards that are gift cards, because if you're gone, you can either send the wife or the missus, hey, why don't you get dinner out? I'm gonna be in the tree stand tonight. I'm gonna be in the woods tonight. I think that's a sleeper pick for this option. Or if you have a job that allows you to buy PTO or just not take comp time, just the ability to get in the woods at a high level. Now, if you need true gear items, I'm gonna think about this. There are two ways I'd go. If you're new into hunting, I might recommend either a shotgun or 22 to do some small game hunting. The shotgun allows you to hunt big game and small game and turkey and go shoot sporting clays. So like a Mossberg 500, that's a pretty solid, do all purpose, holds its value well, home defense as well. Like that's a really good pick at that $200. The other one, if you're focused more on deer hunting, I'd say don't get a cell cam, that's cheating, but get a bunch of the cheaper or budget friendly options out there to kind of help you learn deer, right? Because you're gonna go, I think this spot looks good. Well, you could throw an SD card camera on it and then come check it in 2, 3, 4 weeks, let it go the whole season, and then check it and kind of do a guess and check. And the value type trail cams, you can get a few more of them so you can check multiple spots and kind of just learn, right? You're gonna develop your skills at looking at a spot, thinking it's good, and then knowing. So kind of a volume aspect if you're a trail cam user there. The other item I thought about mentioning on the list is some sort of tree stand system, especially if you're gonna deer hunt, getting elevated. I think XOP's got a lot of great like budget to performance type level products that, and by buying just like one mobile setup, you can literally hunt 5, 6 ambush points versus throwing $100 at each tree to have a preset. That's what I would do if I was just getting into the sport. I used to do that with a climber essentially, where I would have a piece of private land and hunt 4 or 5 different trees, but they were all climber trees back in the day. Appreciate you guys watching. Check out the channel if you're new here. Team Harder and Bucks, we're out.